Ooh, I didn't do something right because it completely canceled out of there. We're gonna move all this stuff out of the way. So first things first, you wanted me to explain it. So we have IO stream, which is input output stream, and then you have your F stream, which is going to add the data that you're taking to the file. That's initially giving it the header to attach the file to this program. And then you have string because we're using string variables specifically. So I went ahead right off the bat and I just declared all of my variables so that they were there, so that I wouldn't have to, keep declaring them, C in, C out, or declare C in, C out, declare C in, C out. It just made it a little bit more uniform. So there we have our first name, last name, street, city, state, zip code. So, those are the normal standard parts. But then this is the part that kind of confused me a little bit was the OF stream, which we practiced in Dr. Alak's class, but opening up the initial file so that then the data can be written on it. So I went ahead and I named it student info txt. And then if the output is open, which if it's able to open, then it'll open. If not, then it'll say unable to write data in file and it will return and exit the program. So then down here we have what's going directly to the output file. So that's your first name, last name. This is a lot more simple than what I was originally trying to make it out to be. I thought that each one needed to be on a different line, whereas it's just like putting a C out statement. Go figure, just printing out to a file instead of to the terminal. But the cout file of where it's just going to go in, in. But the important part is why we have the quotations around the string names or the string variable names or the outputs rather, is so that whenever it goes to the part three that you asked for, sir, when you want it to pull back from the file and then display itself on the terminal. So it'll go first part, and I'll give you a dev in a second, but it'll go first part, you go ahead and you enter in the user settings or the user information, and then afterwards, it'll go back down and it'll say, here's the inputted information. So without any further ado, oh, and then there's a while statement. I like if else statements. This was a really easy way for me to go ahead and practice an if else statement and OF, OF streams, or at least writing to files, operate off of a if else statement. So there's that. And then while the data is in there, it's going to get it, then return each line, which was the output that we did above it. So without any further ado, said nay, Fleming, five. Ooh, Huntsville, AL, 35816, I believe it is. And then it'll display. So there it is displaying the information in the TXT file. It's going to go ahead, pull out those. And then on the bottom, so there's where we entered it. And then there it is uniformly given out. Please excuse how I have, how I have the different spacings. I needed it recorded. I needed it done recorded. So this was a lot easier than using Visual Studios. I'm not necessarily sure what was up with it, but it wasn't saving. And I know for a fact that it worked before because it worked for every other class that I had to save that file for. So this by far was one of the easier codes. It really made me kind of go back to my initial C++ knowledge of having to open up a file and then having to take the information that you just took in through the CN statement and then inputting it onto the file and then extracting it back out and then displaying it. Overall, I would like to be able to put in multi-words, and I did see on Geeks for Geeks that you can use a get cn get line or get line parenthesis cn variable close. So I don't know if that's really true. For right now it works just fine, but I would like to implement that later, and who knows, in the final one you might see that. But overall, that's my code. It was a really cool way to kind of put some of my beginner, like I said before, to put all the beginner parts that I've learned together. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed my discussion post. I definitely went in depth when it came to the including what I'm working on currently in my internship, as well as just giving my overall opinion about Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 languages. So my first introduction to a machine language was basic, and it was through Stranger Things. So that was really interesting for me. And then to find out that Gen 2 was Unix. So basically everything from like the early 2000s to like the 2010s is really kind of considered that Gen 2-esque language. And then Gen 3 is object-oriented JavaScript, C sharp, C++, like all the current ones that we use in the industry today. So that was a lot to expand my mind. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for allowing me to turn this in, sir. I hope I didn't disappoint. How was that being?